Am uitat să spun. Mama a făcut fabrica acolo, vai de viața mea. Cum este, diria.
There is a heating plant in Bucharest, one of several operated by Electrocentrale Bucharest, better known as ELSEN, where a 10,000 kilowatt transformer, packed with 30 tons of mineral oil, has reportedly exploded. The blast sent a fireball skyward. The imagery, shared across social media within minutes, shows the kind of violent combustion that only an oil-filled transformer can produce. A superheated column of black smoke, a radial shockwave rippling outward through an industrial compound, and, somewhere underneath it all, a piece of critical infrastructure that will not be supplying power or heat to Bucharest's residents anytime soon. If you were looking for a dramatic headline, you have one. But if you were looking for the real story, it is not in the fireball. It is in the system that allowed it to happen, and in the broader pattern of infrastructure failures spreading across Europe like a slow-burning fuse. Because this is not an isolated incident, not even close. Bucharest's centralized heating network is, by some measures, the second largest in the world after Moscow's. It serves more than 563,000 apartments, over 8,500 residential blocks, and approximately 1.2 million people. The system was built during the communist era, expanded through the 1960s and 1970s, and has been slowly degrading ever since. The operator responsible for distributing heat, originally Radet, which filed for insolvency in 2019, followed by ELSEN itself entering insolvency shortly afterward, was replaced by a municipal entity called Termoenergetica. But a name change does not fix corroded pipes. It does not replace aging transformers, and it does not stop 30 tons of mineral oil from igniting when the electrical arc inside a transformer casing exceeds the pressure the steel was designed to contain. That is what happens in an oil-filled transformer explosion. The physics are well understood, even if the results are spectacular. When an internal fault, typically an electrical arc, occurs inside the sealed tank of a large power transformer, it rapidly decomposes the mineral oil that acts as both coolant and insulator. This decomposition generates enormous volumes of flammable gas, hydrogen, methane, ethylene, in milliseconds. The pressure inside the steel casing spikes from ambient to anywhere between 8 and 13 bar within 30 milliseconds. The tank, usually rated to withstand no more than about 2 bar of static pressure, ruptures violently. The oil, now exposed to oxygen and heated well past its flashpoint, ignites. What follows is a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion, a BLEVE, that can produce thermal radiation intense enough to cause fatal burns at a distance of 90 meters and demolish structures even further out. 30 tons of oil makes for a very large BLEVE. A transformer of this class, 10,000 kilowatts or 10 megawatts, is not a small neighborhood unit. It sits at the interface between generation and distribution, stepping power down from high-voltage transmission lines to the levels required by the heating plant's boilers and pumps. Losing one does not just mean a blackout. In a combined heat and power system like Bucharest's, it can mean a loss of thermal output to entire districts, particularly devastating during winter, though even in spring the disruption to hot water supply affects hundreds of thousands of residents. Step back and consider the context in which this explosion occurs. Bucharest's heating infrastructure has been described, repeatedly, and by its own operators, as a system that has reached its limits. Claudiu Crețu, the general director of ELSEN, said publicly in 2024 that the city's 3 main combined heat and power plants date from the 1960s and 1970s, and that mild winters had masked just how fragile the network had become. Bucharest is too big to fail, Crețu said. The gas network can't support it, the electricity distribution network can't support it either. He added that if Romania experienced the kind of winters it saw 10 or 15 years ago, sustained temperatures of -15 or -20 degrees for weeks, the situation would have been cruel. The financial chain behind the fragility is almost comically dysfunctional. Termoenergetica, the municipal distributor, owes large sums to ELSEN. ELSEN, in turn, has debts to its gas supplier, Romgaz. Romgaz has on multiple occasions threatened to cut off gas supply entirely, which would shut down every heating plant in a city of 2 million people. The debts are structural, embedded in a system where the Bucharest city government has chronically underpaid for the heat its residents consume. In one particularly alarming episode, ELSEN sent an open letter to the Bucharest Council warning that the delivery of hot water to the entire municipality would be discontinued unless at least part of a gas bill that had reached 600 million Romanian lei, approximately 125 million euros, was settled. That is the system in which a 10,000 kilowatt transformer has just exploded. not a system hardened against attack, not a system with modern fail-safes and redundancy, a system held together by municipal debt, political inertia, and the good fortune of warm winters. Now ask yourself a question that nobody in Bucharest's municipal government seems eager to answer. Was this just a mechanical failure? The honest answer is that we do not know. Transformer explosions happen. They happen because of manufacturing defects, because of deferred maintenance, because of overloading, because of lightning strikes, and because aging mineral oil breaks down over decades and produces dissolved gases that lower the flashpoint of the entire system. In a network as old and underfunded as Bucharest's, a spontaneous failure would be entirely unsurprising. But we also live in a Europe where spontaneous failures of critical infrastructure are no longer taken at face value, and for good reason. Germany's Federal Criminal Police Office, the BKA, registered 321 suspected sabotage cases against critical infrastructure in 2025 alone. In the first weeks of 2026, several more were added, including a prolonged blackout in Berlin in early January that was later attributed to an arson attack by a far-left extremist group on high-voltage cables crossing the Teltow Canal. That attack knocked out power to 45,000 households. German federal prosecutors launched terrorism charges. In March 2026, someone physically severed an electricity pylon in the Italian Alps, an act that threatened to disrupt the Transalpine pipeline and, by extension, fuel supply to refineries feeding Munich and Stuttgart airports. In November 2024, two major submarine fiber optic cables were disrupted almost simultaneously, one connecting Finland and Germany, the other linking Sweden and Lithuania. The timing triggered immediate concern at both EU and NATO level. The pattern, officials said, was consistent with hybrid operations rather than coincidence. A Dutch think tank linked Russia to 151 hybrid warfare operations across Europe since 2022. The International Institute for Strategic Studies documented 219 incidents of suspected Russian hybrid activity in Europe since 2014, with 86% occurring after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Nearly half of all incidents took place in 2024 alone. The attack toolbox has diversified, from crude physical sabotage into chemical contamination of oil supply, wiper malware targeting operational technology, GPS jamming, drone incursions over critical sites, and the recruitment of third-country nationals through online platforms and cryptocurrency payments. Romania has not been spared. In October 2025, Romania's intelligence service, the SRI, announced that it had foiled a sabotage operation, allegedly orchestrated by Russian intelligence on Romanian soil. Two Ukrainian citizens, acting under what the SRI described as the direct coordination of Russian operatives, attempted to plant incendiary devices disguised as parcels at the Bucharest headquarters of Nova Post, a Ukrainian courier company. The devices were concealed inside car parts and headphones and were designed for remote detonation. The SRI neutralized them before they could be triggered. Evidence collected during the investigation confirmed that the two suspects were part of a wider Russian-controlled network targeting European infrastructure. Similar attacks had previously been directed at Nova Post facilities in other countries. And just 12 days before this transformer explosion, on April 9th, Russian drones attacked the Ukrainian port of Izmail in the Odessa region, setting a Turkish-flagged merchant ship loaded with liquefied natural gas on fire. The port sits directly across the Danube from Romanian territory. Romania evacuated the village of Plauru in Tulcea County because the blast wave from a potential ship explosion could have reached Romanian soil. This is the environment in which a transformer at a Bucharest heating plant has just gone up. Now, to be absolutely clear, there is no confirmed evidence that the Bucharest transformer explosion was the result of sabotage. Infrastructure this old fails on its own, with depressing regularity. Romania's heating plants have a history of it. In December 2018, an explosion in one of the boilers at CET South, the same ELCEN plant complex that supplies heat to Bucharest, injured 4 workers, 3 of whom suffered burns to their limbs and 1 to the face. The cause was attributed to mechanical failure. In January 2021, the Fundeni transformer station in Bucharest experienced a malfunction that knocked out power to an entire sector of the capital, affecting 100,000 residents. It was the second such failure at the same station in 2 months. The cause was aging equipment. These are the incidents that make the news. The ones that don't, the small leaks, the pressure drops, the partial failures that reduce capacity without causing a dramatic explosion, are constant. Elsen has said as much. Terminal Energetica has said as much. The European Union has allocated 260 million euros, managed through the European Commission's regional policy, to rehabilitate 210 kilometers of Bucharest's primary heating network. But the total network spans roughly 1,000 kilometers. Experts estimate a full replacement would take at least 2 decades and cost billions. 3 new combined heat and power plants, backed by 362 million euros in EU Modernization Fund grants, are in the pipeline. But co-financing remains unresolved. The Bucharest city government still has not settled its debts to Elsen. This is the paradox at the heart of Europe's infrastructure vulnerability. It is not that Russia, or any other hostile actor, needs to attack European infrastructure. In many cases, European infrastructure is attacking itself. The decades of underinvestment, the chronic maintenance backlogs, the financial dysfunction between municipal, national, and corporate stakeholders, these are the fault lines that make sabotage both easier to execute and harder to detect. When a transformer explodes in a city where transformers are known to fail regularly, who investigates? When a pipeline leaks in a system where pipelines leak constantly, who sounds the alarm? This is precisely what makes Russia's hybrid warfare doctrine so effective. You do not need to attack everything. You only need to operate in the space between neglect and violence, where every incident is plausibly deniable and every investigation faces the question, was this an attack or was it simply entropy? As we covered in our previous video on the Novorossiysk strikes, Ukraine has been systematically targeting Russia's oil export infrastructure, and the financial damage has been enormous. Russia lost $970 million in windfall oil revenue by late March 2026 as a result of Ukraine's strikes against Primorsk, Ust-Luga, and Sheshkaris. The Kremlin understands the logic of infrastructure warfare better than anyone. The question is whether Europe understands it too. The EU's own security assessments now rank critical infrastructure sabotage as the top security risk for 2026, above terrorism, above conventional military escalation. EU Foreign Affairs Chief Kaja Kallas has said Europe's critical infrastructure is at high risk of sabotage. NATO has launched a dedicated maritime mission to protect undersea cables in the Baltic. Germany has passed a new critical infrastructure protection law, the Kritis Umbrella Law, imposing security requirements on operators and mandating incident reporting. But these are reactive measures. They respond to the last attack, not the next one. And they do not address the foundational problem. Europe's critical infrastructure was not built to be defended. It was built to function cheaply, maintained or not maintained, on the assumption that nobody would ever want to break it, and operated by entities, municipal utilities, state-owned enterprises, debt-laden conglomerates, that were never designed to think about security. A transformer packed with 30 tons of oil at a heating plant in Bucharest is a perfect case study. Whether it failed because of a 60-year-old design flaw, a maintenance schedule that was never followed, or something more deliberate, the result is the same. A fireball, a supply disruption, a reminder that the lights can go out, not because someone fired a missile, but because the system was already broken. Romania will investigate this incident. It may find a faulty bushing, a degraded gasket, a thermal overload caused by a sudden surge in demand. It may find contaminated oil. Mineral oil that has been sitting in a sealed transformer casing for decades degrades over time, producing dissolved gases like hydrogen and acetylene that lower the threshold for catastrophic failure. An oil sample from a transformer that has not been properly monitored can contain compounds ranging from C6 to C41 hydrocarbons, with flammability limits that shrink as the oil ages. A transformer filled with 30 tons of decades-old oil is, in a very real sense, a bomb on a timer. The only question is when the timer runs out. Or it may find nothing at all, because the transformer is now a melted, oil-soaked ruin, the forensic evidence consumed by the very fire it created. What Romania almost certainly will not find is a clean answer to the question that every European capital should now be asking. If this is what happens when infrastructure fails on its own, what happens when someone helps it along? The EU's Integrated National Energy and Climate Plan for Romania notes that under conditions of low production and high power flows, accidental triggering of electrical equipment, power lines, transformers, or auto-transformers may occur, which can lead to overloading of other equipment and exacerbation of grid congestion. The document goes on to list earthquakes, heat waves, and cyber attacks as further risk vectors. Sabotage is not mentioned by name. It doesn't need to be. The entire system is already operating at the edge of what it can handle. Bucharest's heating network serves 1.2 million people. It runs on equipment designed in the 1960s, financed by a chain of debt that has never been resolved, and maintained by an operator that emerged from the insolvency of its predecessor. One transformer has just exploded. There are hundreds more. Across the network, across the country, across a continent that spent the post-Cold War decades cashing in a peace dividend by starving its infrastructure of investment, the same logic applies. The pipes are old, the wires are frayed, the transformers are full of aging oil. And the assumption that nobody would ever want to exploit that fragility, an assumption that held for 30 years, has been obliterated by a shadow war that Germany's BKA is tracking in the hundreds of incidents per year. The irony is that the most effective infrastructure attack is the one you never have to carry out. You simply wait for the system to do it to itself. And then, while the fire crews are mopping up and the investigators are sifting through wreckage, you take notes on what broke, how long it took to fix, and where the next weak point lies. And somewhere in Europe, in a basement flat or an anonymous office, someone is doing exactly that. This is Military Hub. If you found this analysis useful, consider subscribing so you don't miss our ongoing coverage of the infrastructure dimension of the war in Europe, a dimension that is quieter than the front lines, but every bit as consequential.